Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back again today for another great podcast. I told you in this second quarter, we're really working on the 6P business owner formula. And those 6 Ps are people, promotion, pricing, productivity, profit, and processes. Well, today I've got the real honor to share a small business owner with you that I've become real good friends with, and he's going to share with us some of the challenges of running a small business and what you can do to help yourself. So today, Chad, would you share with our listeners, what problem will you solve for our listeners today?
Yeah, I would love to talk about the advantages surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded in the way of business. So I'd really like to talk about mastermind groups a little bit if we can. Yeah.
That sounds great. Chad Stokes is the owner of Stokes Mosquito in North Augusta, South Carolina. He retired from the U.S. Army in 2004. After retiring, he attended the University of South Carolina and received a BS in business with a concentration in accounting. While working on his MBA, he realized indoor work was not for him since he really does not like numbers, and especially taxes. I'm with you there, Chad. He worked for a property management company for nearly 10 years before starting his pest control company. He is the 5th year of his business, and it's growing slowly but steady, and he's been married to Darlene for 38 years and has 4 grown sons, 1 grandson, and a grandson on the way. Chad, it is great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have you on. As you know, we are both in a mastermind together, and you have a small business, and I love talking to small business owners. But let's talk about what you've gained from what you shared about how a mastermind has kind of led you to where you're at today and in what the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to go back about 7 years, and I was trying to find something to do outside of the property management business. I had guys working for me, but our whole thing was fixing toilets and water heaters and making these emergency calls. And listening to a podcast, I heard about a franchise opportunity that you could do from home part-time. And I went to my friends and I said, hey, check this out. I'm thinking about buying into it. And all of them were like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that sounds cool. Oh, you should do that. And after I did a little more research, I was like, well, I need to go see a lawyer. So I went and I found a lawyer and said, hey, I'm thinking about buying into this business. Would you look at the contract? And he was a contract lawyer, and he looked at it, and, you know, he gave me some advice. I was like, okay, well, that's good. And went to my guy that does my taxes. He wasn't a CPA, but a tax professional. And he said, yeah, it looks good. So I bought into the business, but I never had any like sound advice. And shortly after that, I joined a mastermind group, and all the guys in the group that I joined were all, for the most part, business people. And they looked at it and said, well, did you ask this question? Nope. Did you ask this question? Nope. Did you go to this person? Nope. Did you consider this? Nope. And so now we still own that franchise, and it struggles, and my wife takes care of it. Too much pride, I think, to sell it or get rid of it or whatever the case is. But I knew that was not going to get us to where we wanted to be. And so inside the mastermind group, I started talking to other guys, and it's like, I've got to do something different. I can't continue to work for somebody else. It's driving me crazy. And one of the other guys in that mastermind group owns a pest control company. And I got talking to him, and I was like, this is exactly where I want to go. This is what I like. This is what I want to do. I like being outside. I like the customer service. I love being able to solve a problem for a customer. Um, I love the whole customer satisfaction portion of it. Um, but I had that network of people behind me, and I still do that. Every time I have a question, I've got a group of guys that I can reach out to and say, what should I do? How do I do it next? Or I've got guys that I talk to just about every day. And you're one of those people, Gary, that keeps me motivated. You know, what's your top priorities for this week? What do you got to get accomplished? What's going on next, or whatever the case is. So it has been monumental in my business having a mastermind group behind me just to help, you know, move the right direction to where I need to be. So I'm not sure if I answered your
Well,
question.
what you really, yeah, no, I think you answered it well. And I think the thing that people forget about is when you ask people that maybe are, you know, friends, that type of things and stuff, they're afraid to tell you maybe the truth or what they're really thinking. So, oh, you're thinking good about it. So, okay. The only difference is in a mastermind group, it's really what I term it as a trusted board of advisors.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about a mastermind is you get that advice and then you still get to make your own decision. And one thing about business owners, one of the challenges we have, I believe, and I'm in the same boat, is we don't have anyone that we can go to really share that with. You can talk to your wife, and wives will be understanding and everything else, but unless they're in the business, they really don't understand it either, because we're that entrepreneur, the one trying to make it going forward. But when you get in a mastermind, I have my own, the Ascend Mastermind, and what I find from those individuals is they find, number one, people that understand the challenges, the opportunities, the problems, all those things, because why? They're going through the exact same thing. So one of the things I wanted to kind of talk to you about, Chad, I'm curious, I'm going to go back a little bit. You talked about you purchased that franchise, but do you also, then you decided, okay, I wanted to do that. You saw the pest control and you decided to get in that, in the mosquito business. But even before that, what was the kind of that tipping point for you to say, okay, I want to be the owner of my business, where before in the maintenance company, right, you were working, or the that side of it, you were working for someone else. What made that tipping point? Do you remember that really changed your direction?
This is almost embarrassing to say, but at this point, I'd worked for the company probably 6 or 7 years. And let me kind of clarify that the first 2 years of my business, or 2.5 years in my business, I still worked full time for this property management company.
Okay.
And was working on my business part time. So I had that advantage. And it was the mastermind group that was the push to like break ties and move on. But the final decision one day is we had a trash compactor that somebody stuck a bed frame into, metal, and it jammed up this huge trash compactor. And it was about 100 degrees outside, and I'm inside that trash compactor with everybody's trash, using crowbars and sawzalls and everything else, trying to break loose this metal bed frame that somebody had stuck in there. And I've done a lot of stuff in my life, and I always say I will do anything. I'm not too good to do anything. But the whole time what was going through my mind was, is this really what God has planned for me, is to stand in a trash compactor full of people's trash, trying to free a bed frame at a job I hadn't gotten a pay raise at in 6 years. When I left that company, I had one pay raise, and that was about 2 years after I started. No pay raises, no appreciation for the work that was being done. I was responsible for hiring and firing people. And so anyway, that was kind of it. But I remember being on a mastermind call, and I was livid because I just gotten out of that trash compactor when I got on our mastermind call. And the guys were like, when are you just going to cut ties? When are you just going to say enough is enough and walk away? And it's like, well, I got to have the paycheck. I got to have money coming in. My wife is ultra conservative with money. She doesn't want to lose a dime. She doesn't want to spend a dime. And when I was talking about starting a company and all this stuff, she just didn't understand it. She was okay with going to work every day and drawing a paycheck. So yeah, that was kind of the defining moment, I think, of I've got to do something else. Yeah.
I could understand that, because I'm sure in the summer and the heat in South Carolina, that 100 degrees in that item felt very hot. But that's sometimes what we need, is that push, that shove. You already was showing that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But again, you was able to go back to that mastermind group to kind of get some feedback. And sometimes it's a nudge that we need to go, to decide to get into a certain business or switch our marketing plan or do something different. And that becomes really beneficial to us. What do you think, as far as yourself, a coach, how has that been beneficial for you to be able to be coached, not only by your mastermind members, but if you have a coach and stuff, how has that benefited you in your business?
Yeah. I don't know that you can truly put it in words. Every step of the way of the business process, I've had somebody that's much smarter than me in many cases be able to say, it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, have you considered this? And then just the resources within the group. Our organization has, I don't know, 150, 175 guys in it. Even though we're a small group of 10, there's a ton of resources out there. There's finance guys out there. There's accounting guys out there. There's lawyers out there. There's other guys that own similar business, service-based businesses. Anything that you could come up with, there's somebody there that's already dealt with it, or at least has a pretty good idea of how to move forward with it. Yeah.
Great. So we talked about the good things about what a mastermind does and what beneficial of coaching that happens to you. But in a small business, there's challenges every day that comes up. What is one of the things, Chad, that you would say is you feel that is your challenge, or one of the challenges overcome? First, you had to get clients, of course, but what's one of those challenges that you think that you really work on in your business that you think is a key indicator? You talked about customer service. And if you're providing a service like you do, that's vital for keeping your customers.
Yeah. Everything. like everything. I've never owned a business. I was in the Army for a long time, and I went to college, and I was, working for somebody else. I had never, other than the property management company, I'd never worked in a regular business, right? It's not like I worked for another company and worked my way up into management. In the pest control industry, it's very common for a guy to work for a pest control company and then at some point decide, hey, I'm going to go out and do this on my own. I had zero pest control industry background. I started from zero as you could get. And when I worked for the property management company, I used to see the pest control guys, and I used to always ask them, why do you work for somebody else? If you have the skills, why don't you just go do it on your own? Like, oh, you can't do it. There's too many regulations. There's too many of this. There's too many of that. And it's like, okay, that sounds like a challenge I can go for. So back to your original question is some of everything. It's like, well, how do I do marketing? How do I get customers? How do I determine how much money to spend on marketing, or how much to spend on equipment, or should I buy new equipment, or should I hire somebody? When do I make that person a W-2 employee? I don't know that I could think of one thing other than having a group of people behind me that are always positive about pushing forward. Every time I have a challenge, or you get into one of those seasons where you're just down in the dumps because nothing is going right. For me, it's wintertime because our business dropped significantly. And when I start getting kind of down in the dumps and blue about waiting for spring to come around when the mosquitoes get bad, I got a group of bot guys behind me. They're like, okay, just take these steps and that'll get you through to us the next time. So it's kind of, I don't know if there is one answer. It's everything business related, from accounting to customer service to customer acquisition to everything. Yeah.
You're listening to the Small Business Answer Man podcast. We're going to be right back with Chad in just a moment after this sponsorship break. Now let's return to our podcast episode. Well, Chad, I think that's really important what you were saying, that it's multiple things. It's really like putting a puzzle together, and the pieces have to fit together in a business. But one of the things I think you said that's so important is you're a learner. You know, you're willing to learn and gain knowledge, figure out, how do I piece this puzzle together? How do I kind of make it fit together? You know, not having all the answers, for a lot of people that would hold them back. And, you know, a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, one thing, they don't always have the answer. So how can they kind of continue to move forward? They have to ask themselves that question. So you talked about it a little bit, but what does get you through those down times, or those times that, you know, business is a little bit tougher, or there's a challenge ahead of you? What allows you to get through that and really move forward in your business and focus on what you need to?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple of things. Some people say that they're well read. I'm well listened. I constantly listen to something on Audible, business related books. I also listen to a lot of podcasts. There's some great podcasts out there. I listen to your podcast. I listen to some pest control specific podcasts, and I listen to the guys in my mastermind group. That, you know, to me, it's a slow season, right? To another guy, it's a preparation season, right? So when December rolls around, November rolls around, and like business is starting to drop off, and I'm starting to get disappointed about, okay, my business is slowing down. I listen to these other guys that are like, hey man, now it's preparation season. We get to get the trucks fixed. We get to update the equipment. We get to, you know, whatever, do inventory on chemicals. We get to work on our taxes. We get to clear out invoicing. So for me to be around other people that are motivated, and I can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, okay, if I just keep moving forward, you know, kind of step by step, like these other guys or the other people that I listen to, it just helps relieve some of that anxiety of like, this is my slow season.
Great. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's so key, is really figuring out how does your cycles work and then working through them. One thing, Chad, before we've got to get wrap up and stuff on that side, one of the things I'd like to ask you is kind of with your business, and if other people may be listening to the business, they may have their business, or they may be thinking about getting in the business and stuff. What would your advice you would give someone that's thinking about becoming a business owner? What would be the advice you would give them?
I heard one time that if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? So I would say it's surround yourself with people that you want to emulate or be like, or you know, just be around the people and talk to the people and associate with the people that you want to be like or emulate. I don't know the best words for that, but take the time to get to know other people. I belong to a Rotary Club and Sertoma Club, and I volunteer with Boy Scouts, and like just kind of the list goes on, so that I can be around other people that are where I want to be. I mean, I'm in a pest control business, but every business is similar. Like I want to be a successful business owner. That's one of my goals. So surround yourself with other people. Mastermind, if you can figure out how to be part of a mastermind group, that is the number one thing. And I'll kind of regress here a little bit. My wife thought I was crazy when I wanted to open a pest control business. I mean, she was like, where do you get this from? Like, why a pest control business? I was like, well, it fits where my mind is, right? And she knows some of the guys in my mastermind group. And she called one of them, mutual friend of ours, Steve Kinsley. And he was like, oh yeah, like this. And then we actually drove to Atlanta to one of the other guys that's in the mastermind group. It's about a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive, and met with the guy that owned the other mosquito control business that's in our mastermind. And so for her to be able to see it from other people that are successful, that like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah, this is a business plan that'll work. So again, I'm not sure I answered your question, but just
No,
having
you did,
people around you.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's getting around those people that you should be versus the people that she's going to tell you kind of from the very get-go, what we've talked about. You know, Chad's very busy this time of the year because it's mosquito season and things of that nature. But if you want to check out his website, it's stokesmosquito.com. He's on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, so you can check him out there. We're going to have all those in show notes that's available to him. But Chad, I just can't thank you enough for joining us on the podcast. Absolutely. I do have one last question. It's similar to the last one I asked, but I want this one to be, if you were giving your best business advice to someone that's out there, what would be your best business advice or tip that you would give them?
Mine is get a coach, right? This goes back to surrounding yourself with other people, being the smartest guy in the room. Not only do I belong to a mastermind group, but I have a business coach, and I meet with him once a week on Zoom, just like this. And that guy is able to pinpoint specific things that I should be doing. So surround yourself with smart people, get a business coach, join a mastermind group. It just opens the world up to possibilities.
Well, it changes the atmosphere for a small business that then now he's getting some feedback. And instead of just getting what he wants, he's able to get that information and stuff. And I had Chad on and did not set him up to say those things. As y'all know, I do business coaching as well as the mastermind. But it's really what's on his heart, because it's allowed his business that continual growth. And I've seen it over the last couple of years. His business keeps growing because he's consistent on what he's doing. And the challenge we have as business owners is sometimes we're on an island. You know, we feel like we're the only one that has these problems. The nice thing is when you get in a mastermind, you start hearing other people have some of the same challenges you do, but then you get their feedback. They're trying this, you're willing to try that. So you're getting different perspectives that is out there. So Chad, I really appreciate you sharing with us today and giving us your advice and your information. And really, I wish you well in your business. And I know it's a busy time of the year for you for mosquito season, because we're in that second quarter where they're out, and you should be probably out doing yards right now, but you took the time to be with us. So I can't thank you enough.
Absolutely. Gary, I appreciate it so much. I enjoy all your wisdom as well. You just don't know how much of a guiding light you are for me sometimes, is just the motivation. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, please check out his website. That's stokesmosquito.com, or if you want, he's on Facebook or LinkedIn. We'll have all that in show notes that's available to you. And remember, we're going to have another great guest next week for you, but come back, maybe share this with somebody and let them know about it. Or if you could, go like the podcast and put a review there, because that helps us keep growing our listeners. So I appreciate you joining the Small Business Answer Man podcast. And remember, if you're looking for that and you can't remember Stokes Mosquito or something of that nature, just go to smallbusinessanswerman.biz, B-I-Z, and we will have all that in our show notes that's available to you. Come back next week and we'll have another great guest for you. Thanks for joining us. Make it a great day.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.